Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to talk about why I read while standing on a crowded New York City subway. And on this channel I hope to share with you strategies, mindsets, methods, etc. that will help you in your piano playing and hopefully in the rest of your life as well. So this is of course assuming that I think reading is the highest return activity that I can be engaging in at this given moment when I get on the subway. So it's like jam-packed, full of people. I just manage barely to squeeze my way on. It's difficult somewhat even to move. And I'm the type that actually likes to take notes and things and star things and write little things in the margins from time to time. So it's rather a lot of trouble, without disturbing other people, of course, to just get this book out of my bag and then kind of try to hook my arm around something and stand there. It's kind of awkward, kind of difficult to maneuver and manage. Why would I go to the trouble of doing that? Why don't I just kind of think about something else or just zone out? Well, if I think it's going to be such a high return activity, it's going to be worth my effort to go through that difficulty. We know that there's a compounding effect that's going to happen when you engage in a good habit over the course of a long period of time. And I'm not going to break that chain if this is my one opportunity or my best opportunity in the day to keep that habit going. Right? So for instance, of course, it's the fact that even though I'm just reading a few pages a day, I mean, the obvious thing is that eventually the book is going to be completed if I'm putting in my daily reading, no matter what. And also knowledge accumulating over time. Knowledge is something that definitely compounds because the more you know, when you encounter new information, you're going to be able to form more connections between your huge base of knowledge and the new knowledge that's coming in. So all of the knowledge that you have will actually get increasingly valuable the more knowledge that you encounter and absorb. So that's going to compound over time. And just as a function of engaging in good habits overall, each time that I open up this book, I mean, the activation energy and effort that's needed for me to do that is going to decrease a lot. Like it's completely normal for me to get on the subway and then just get that book out of my bag no matter what, and then just start reading. Whereas in the beginning, I had to take the mental energy and effort to think, is this worth it? Now I don't even ask myself, is this worth it? I don't have that willpower cost, that energy cost in the moment. I'm just already reading the book before I even am consciously aware of it, more or less. And that is the result of compounding over time because I have kept that habit, kept that act consistent. And I really like to talk about, what I think of as imperfectionism, which is these are really imperfect conditions. But maybe without doing this, there's no other time in the day where it's going to be, I might not end up reading at all, right? I might think well, let me wait until I get home. And then ironically, when I'm home, I'm practicing the piano, or maybe I'm working on things in the business, or maybe I'm replying to students or something like that. And so if this is the best chance of me getting this task done today, I mean, the important thing is that it gets done, no matter what. And you can make all the calculations beforehand, and I have already calculated that it's worth it. So no matter how imperfect the conditions, I'm going to just go ahead and engage in the act. And these imperfect conditions, I mean, other great examples are practicing 1 minute a day, doing a push-up on the dirty floor, although I recommend washing your hands afterwards, still going to the gym, even if you have some kind of, let's say, arm injury. Well, you can still use the leg machine. You can still do cardio, right? Any kind of excuses, you can find a way around that. The important thing is to just keep engaging in the habit so that you reap the rewards of this compounding that I was talking about. And realizing that this is where a lot of people are not going to take that action. Now, it might not be the act of reading a book on a crowded subway, but there's going to be something else analogous to that in their lives where if they engaged in it, they would, in the end, reap an enormous net positive, and they're just not going to do it. So if I engage in this and others don't, I mean, they're not going to end up, for instance, reading those few pages a day. They're not going to have that knowledge compound with other knowledge in their lives. They're not going to be able to make those connections. They're not going to make the connections and then reap the rewards in their, let's say this book impacted their piano playing. Let's say this book impacted their career. Let's say this book impacted other things in their lives. right? They're not going to then have those positive effects just because they didn't take the time to open up a book consistently in some kind of inconvenient situation, because they just would not have read for that day. And it's not just that day, but very likely the habit of reading overall may have completely dropped off the map, because as soon as they encountered an imperfect condition, they just didn't engage in that activity anymore. So in piano playing, I think there's a lot more I can say about performance under difficult conditions, but somebody can cough in the audience. There can be like kids like whispering to each other. There can be somebody that has to leave in the middle all of a sudden. I mean, the fire alarm could go off. I've seen it before in recitals. Are you able to continue performing under difficult conditions? And even in practicing, like I live in New York City, there can be like sirens that go off. There can be construction. There can be like all sorts of like little distractions and things, even if you're in a relatively good building. So, are you still going to make the progress that you would gain from practicing the piano? Well, you will if you still, like, obviously it's best to have this ideal, perfect environment, an environment that's super welcoming, where you're most energized and all of that. But there's going to be things, if it's not environmental, there could be something personal that happened that day. There could be some kind of work-related thing that would otherwise prevent you from practicing. And by embracing this more difficult situation and thinking like, this is where other people would stop. This is where other people would just let this habit drop off the map completely. But I'm the sort of person that's going to still do this anyway. I mean, that's how you'll win and be successful ultimately. And really, the habit will transfer over, as you've probably gathered, to piano playing and all other areas in your life. Like, I'm the sort of person that takes the book out of the bag and reads in this, crowded, smelly, inconvenient situation. I'm the sort of person that's still going to practice when there are like really loud sirens like going on outside. And I'm the sort of person that, as long as it makes sense, when I encounter a difficult situation, instead of making excuses, I'm still going to go to the gym anyway. I'm still going to consistently, upload to YouTube, or still consistently put in my piano practice or other instrument practice. And once that becomes a part of your identity, like I'm the sort of person that does that, that to me is a much deeper sort of habit that goes beyond reading on a crowded subway, but rather just acting in difficult situations, acting in imperfect situations, and embracing that difficulty. It's sort of like you enjoy the things that people typically don't enjoy, because, well, I don't know if you have to take pride in it, but that's just who you are. You're just the sort of person that does that. So anyway, hope something in here was valuable for you. If you did find it valuable, please like, subscribe, tell people about the channel. Let me know what you'd like me to talk about. You can drop me a line at david@davidchangmusic.com, and looking forward to seeing you in the next one.